this lecture we are going to look at Pareto efficient criteria. Okay. Pareto efficient. So before I give you the definition of this thing, let me develop one model, okay, one part of the model, and this efficiency criteria will be automatically known to you people. Okay. So most of you people had done circular flow graph, okay, where you have household, okay, where you have household that supply factor of production to firms, okay, and this factor of production get remuneration in terms of wage, rent, interest and profit, and the output is produced, is sold to the household and they pay the price. Okay, so this is one of the general framework. This is a 2x2 I have done. You can introduce government financial sector also. So this is general framework you have done in macroeconomics. Okay, so when we do welfare economics, we look at various efficiency criteria, and Pareto efficiency is one of the criteria. Okay, and when we do general equilibrium, okay, so in general equilibrium we look at simultaneous equilibrium of on the market. Okay, so in a simple model we take 2 by 2 economy. Okay, so two factor of production, labor and capital, producing two goods, say goods X and Y, okay, and it is purchased by two set of consumer A and B. So A represents a set of consumer that has same preference, which is different from the preference of set B. Okay, so preference will be depicted by indifference curve. Indifference curve of A, indifference curve of B. Okay, and both these preferences differ. So suppose set A like good X more than goods Y, and individual in the group B like good Y more than good X. Okay, and we will look at one exchange economy. Okay, exchange economy. One of the important characteristics of this exchange economy is that no production is taking place. No production, okay, is taking place. So our consumer, okay, has endowment. They have endowment. So initially what we will do, we will give A and B some quantity of good X and some quantity of good Y. Okay, and we will see if they are not satisfied with what we give them, okay, how they will trade, and when they will trade, okay, whether it is possible to make both better off, or at least one of them better, okay, or it is not at all possible to make them better off. Okay, so we will look at that thing, and through that thing we will determine Pareto efficiency. Okay, so next we define endowment. Okay, not define, we just write down what the endowment are. So endowment, we do not buy W. Okay, in every book they use W. Okay, here on top we write good, and here we write consumer. Okay, so endowment of good X with consumer A, endowment of good Y with consumer A. Okay, so initially there is no production, so consumer A has endowment of good X and Y. Similarly, consumer B will have endowment of X and Y. Okay, next take one simple example. Suppose they have 10, 5 endowment, and this one have 5, 10. Okay, you can take any number, 10,000, 5,000, 5,000, 6,000. Whatever number you want to take, you can take it. Okay. So I just clarify. Okay. So this is the initial endowment given. Okay. So let me rub this thing. So in this exchange economy, what will be my total supply of good X? How I can take out total supply? Okay, so total supply of total endowment of good X and Y. Okay. So for X, I need to add these two things. How much quantity of good X I have with consumer A and how much I have with consumer B. I will add these two. I will get my total supply of good X or total endowment of good X. Okay. So total supply of good X, or you can say endowment of good X, total endowment of good X equal endowment of good X with consumer A plus endowment of good X with consumer B. This is 10 plus 5, 15. Okay, let me check this for you. Okay, now total supply of good Y. So endowment of good Y with consumer A plus endowment of good Y with consumer B. This is 5 plus 10. Okay, this can be any number. I can give any number. Okay, so no need to confuse with that. So this is 15 also. Okay. Now I know how much I have good X and good Y. Okay, total supply of good X and good Y. Okay. Next thing what I am going to do is draw your Edgeworth box diagram. Okay. Basically we will draw a box. Okay. This box, okay, is developed by Edgeworth. That is why it is called Edgeworth box diagram. Okay. And after my first year in undergraduate, when I am vacation, I also developed a box like this. Okay. So I have taken two consumer and depicted the same graph. Okay. So this is very simple. Okay. You people can also do it. At that time I don't know about this concept, but I have developed this box. So we are working on the assumption that market is perfectly competitive. Okay. So you have preference of consumer A for good X and Y, and you have preference of in the consumer B also. Okay. So I have to make a box. So what I will do, I will invert this thing here. Okay. I will take this graph and put it here. Okay. So I will take this graph and put here. I will get a box. And this preference, since I have inverted, here is the axis. So this is the axis. So graph will be like this. Okay. Just check. Okay. So this will represent in difference curve of B. So let me draw again. I know my handwriting not good. But let me draw properly. So this is your indifference curve of consumer A. This is X and Y. Okay. So what I will take this graph and invert it here. Okay. I invert this graph here. This is the axis here. This is the axis. So this is the graph of individual B. Okay. So this is my Edgeworth box. Okay. This is clear. So what is Edgeworth box? It is a tool. Next me write. So what it is? It is a tool. Okay. to represent both consumer preference, okay, and their endowment. I add 1 point, and their and their respective endowment, okay. So I will explain this thing also, okay. So what is Edgeworth box? It is a tool to represent both consumer preference and their respective endowment, okay. So every one of you have done consumer theory, okay, in the first year. Okay, recording is over. So this is a budget line for one consumer. This is good X, this is good Y, this is indifference curve of say consumer A. This is the quantity demanded of good X and good Y in Y star, X star. Right? Everyone know this thing. Okay? Now what we have done is that we have given endowment to our consumer A and B. Okay? So suppose consumer A endowment is here. Let me draw here. So your budget line will always pass through endowment, okay? Whatever be the price tag you want to take, it will always pass through endowment, okay? And what will be the slope of this budget line, okay? Depends on the preference of good X and Y. We are not going into that thing. When we cover this general equilibrium in detail, we will do it. So this is the endowment with my consumer A, okay? So consumer A had endowment of good X and Y, this 5, 10, 10, 5, 10, 5. This has 10 units of X and 5 units of Y, okay? Suppose preference is here. This is the endowment point, okay? Just remember the point is endowment point. This is the preference of my consumer A, okay? And this is X and this is Y. Okay? So suppose this is the preference, and from there I will know the demand that consumer A has. Suppose this is 8 and this is 7. Okay? So this is the total supply, okay, of good X with consumer A. Not entire supply, this is the amount of good X, okay, that consumer has endowment. But he only want to consume 8. So you have excess supply. Right? You have excess of good X. Here what you have? He only have 5 units. He want to consume 2 more. So there is a demand. More demand, excess demand. Okay? This is a one consumer case. So in 2 consumer case, we also know like that. Okay? So we are not going into that detail. So what we are saying is that your endowment point, okay, will be in the Edgeworth box, and there will be an adjustment in the price line. So in the exchange economy, you will achieve equilibrium. Like in consumer theory, marginal ratio of substitution equal price of X over price of Y. So in this exchange economy, this will be equal. Marginal ratio of substitution of good X and Y to consumer A equal X and Y to consumer B multiplied by price ratio. Okay. So we are not going into this kind of analysis. Okay. So some of you want to know, oh, we don't cover the exchange economy completely. We are not covering exchange economy. Okay. We are just looking at a concept of Pareto efficient only in the exchange economy. Okay. So just remember that initially we start that there is no production, and total supply we get just by adding the endowment of good X with consumer A and B. We get endowment. Okay. Now we have to draw the graph of Edgeworth box. and the dimension of this algebra box. Okay, dimension, or you can say size of this algebra box depends on endowment. Okay, endowment of good x and y. How? Let me get. So we are looking at preference of two consumers. So this is the endowment you have. Let me write here first. Okay, endowment of good x with consumer A, endowment of good y with consumer A. Okay, this is 10/5. Endowment of good x with consumer B, endowment of good y with consumer B, 5/10. Okay, so this is when you draw the graph for first consumer, you draw like this, right? So this is 10 unit and total supply of good x is 15. So I will extend this one to 15. Okay, it will be clear. Okay, wait. So here it is 5 good y. This axis, vertical axis represent 5, and I will extend with 10 because it is total goods y is endowment is 5 and 10, 5 plus 10. So I extend here this thing. Okay, so it is total 10. So 5 plus 10, this is 15. So this is 10, and this distance is 5. So it will be 50. Okay. So now extend this thing, and this is the box. Okay. So dimension of good x you derive from here 15. Dimension of good y you derive from here 15. So 15 here, 15 here. You just join the axis. Then we get box. That is called algebraic box. Okay. And what is the endowment of good x and y with consumer A? It is 10,5. So we read for consumer A from this side, right? If you remember correctly. So here, if we move this side, if we move this side, okay, it is the amount of good x that consumer A is getting. Here I have y, here I have x. Okay. If we move this side, it is the amount of good y consumer A is getting. Okay. Similarly, for consumer B, this is axis for consumer B. If we move, let's write OA consumer A, OB for consumer B. If we move this side is equivalent to this side, x-axis. This side, if we move, this represents the amount of good x consumer B is getting, and here the amount of good y consumer B is getting. Okay. Because this axis vertical represent your y-axis, horizontal represent your x-axis. Okay. I just invert the graph. Okay. Just like that. So endowment of consumer A is 10/5, 10 unit of x and 5 unit of y. Right? And what is the distance? This is total 10 and this is total 15. So this distance is 5. So this is 5 total. What is the endowment of good? Let me write the endowment of consumer B. This is 5,10. Okay. So what is the endowment of good x will be 5. This is 1 point. Right. What is the endowment of good y with B? It is 10. So this is 5. This total distance from 0 to 15. This is 15. 15 minus 5. You get 10. So this distance is 10. Right. So join this point. So endowment point will be the same for both. Okay. So this is the endowment point of consumer A and B, and this is a Edgeworth box graph. Okay, and the preference will be like this. This is for consumer A. Higher indifference curve will be this side. Okay. Similarly, this is the preference point for consumer B, consumer A. This is consumer A, indifference curve 1, consumer A, indifference curve 2, consumer A, indifference curve 1, consumer B, indifference curve 2, consumer B. Okay. Now we are doing Pareto optimality. Okay. So what happened that I goes on explaining the thing without checking that recording is taking place or not, and it's happened that recording somehow stopped and major portion of the analysis not get recorded. So I'm going to do thing again from where the video is stopped. Okay. So let me check again before I start. Okay, set focus problem. Okay, it's good that I check it. So basically we have drawn Edgeworth box. For consumer A and B. Okay. So Edgeworth box is a tools I discussed already. Okay. That represent preference of both consumers and their endowment bundle. Okay. And their endowment bundles. Okay. And we know dimension of the Edgeworth box. Okay. From the endowment that consumer have. Okay. So dimension of the Edgeworth box is determined through endowment. Okay. So this we have done. Next, that I have done that is that this is your Edgeworth box. Okay. And here you have endowment bundle, and here you have IC. This is IC, indifference of consumer A, and this is IC of B. Okay. This is the axis of consumer A, OA, and horizontal axis represent your good X. This side is represented for consumer A. This is the axis of consumer B. This side of good X is represented for consumer Y. Okay, it will move this side. Okay, then it will determine its demand for good X. Okay, and this will determine demand for good X for consumer A. This side is good Y, and quantity is 15-15. You know, in this one, total X is not going to 15. Total supply is equal to 15. Okay. And here Y, total supply of Y equal to 15, not demand. Okay. Demand we will discuss not in this video. When we do next time, then we will discuss about that thing. Okay. Here vertical axis represent Y. Okay. X consumption or demand will move this way. Y demand will move this way. Okay. This we have done. So I represent the demand for consumer B with red pen, and with black pen I will represent demand for consumer A after these two. Okay. So and pass it through the endowment bundle. Okay. This is the endowment bundle. So this is suppose IC2B. Okay, this is IC1B. Okay, this is IC1A indifference curve of consumer 1, first indifference curve, and let me draw the second one. Okay, pass it through this endowment bundle. Okay, this is endowment bundle. This is IC of consumer A, second IC. Okay, this is first indifference curve, this is second indifference curve. Okay, draw this way. Okay, I just drew. So I have taken 3 points. I don't know, it is not recorded. I don't know why. Okay, what is the problem there? I have taken 3 points. 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Okay, so let me discuss point number 3 first. Okay, point 3. So this is your indifference curve. Okay, so it is a Knockout combination of two goods that give equal level of satisfaction to consumer A. Okay, and this red indifference curve is indifference curve for consumer B. It is a Knockout combination of two goods that give equal satisfaction to consumer B, and both pass it through this endowment. Okay, so if there is a shift, okay, if this curve shift up, this is consumer A indifference curve. So higher indifference curve is represented in this direction, and this is consumer B indifference curve, higher represented in this direction. Okay, so at point 3, okay, if I move consumer A indifference curve, this is IC3A. Okay, what is happening? There is no change in utility of consumer B, but utility of consumer A increases. So I can increase the utility of consumer A without affecting utility of consumer B. Okay, I am not affecting utility of consumer B, but I am able to increase utility of consumer A. This is called Pareto improvement. Okay, so when it is possible to improve, okay, when it is possible to improve utility of one consumer, you can say utility or satisfaction of one consumer without affecting utility or satisfaction of another consumer, okay, then it is Pareto improvement. Or you can say when it is possible to make someone better off without making another worse off. Okay, when it is possible to make someone better off, you are making someone better off without making other worse off, it is Pareto improvement. Okay, so let me write down. When it is possible to make someone better off without making another worse off is Pareto improvement. Okay, this is one aspect of improvement. Okay, I will discuss another aspect of improvement also. Okay, look at point number 2. Point number 2. Okay, so I remove this indifference curve. Okay, I am looking each indifference curve separately. Okay. So here along this curve, okay, utility of consumer A remains the same. This is the indifference curve of, let me draw properly. Sometimes from nearby it not visible. Okay, so this is indifference curve of third indifference curve of consumer B. Okay, this is second, this is third. So higher indifference curve represent in this direction. So this represent higher utility for consumer B. Okay, so utility of consumer B increases and utility of consumer A remains the same. So it is not affecting any utility for consumer A, but I am able to improve utility of consumer B. Okay, we are only looking at exchange economy, we are not looking at production or product mix. Okay, we are just want to establish what you mean by Pareto efficiency. Okay, so when it is possible to make someone better off, I repeat again, when it is possible to make someone better off without making another worse off, we have Pareto improvement. Okay, now these two aspect is same. Point number 3, improve the utility of A without any impact on utility of B, and point number 2, improve the utility of B without having any impact on utility of A. Okay, now I remove this one. So point 3 and point 2 is clear, right? Now look at point number 1. Any point here in this I, names, you can say names also I. Okay, so at this point 1, okay, it is possible for me to increase this utility of consumer A and B both, right? Let's look at how. So I move consumer A here. You can take any point. I take this one. See? Okay. So this is IC 3A. Okay. This is point number 1 I am discussing, and I can move the utility of consumer B also because some part of I is already there. Okay. So I am drawing with blue pen. Red pen is not working. Okay. So at point number 1. I am able to increase utility of consumer B also and consumer A also. Okay. So at point number 1, let me write here. Point 1, utility of A increases and utility of B increases. So when it is possible to improve utility of both agents, okay, then we have Pareto improvement. Okay, so when we write the definition of Pareto improvement, what it means? When it is possible to make someone better off, okay, or everyone better off without when it is possible to make someone better off without making another worse off is Pareto improvement. Okay, and when we are able to make everyone better off, that is also Pareto improvement. Okay. So let me do this graph again in a small pieces, then we will know more. Okay, so just remember these two curves are tangent here. Okay, and there can be many tangency like that. Okay, now we will discuss about this tangency. So suppose if I want to improve utility of consumer A more, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay, so I move consumer A to higher indifference curve. Suppose this one. Okay, so what is happening? The moment I move consumer A to higher indifference curve, what is happening? Consumer B move to lower indifference curve. From 3, here they are in 3. Okay, indifference curve 3. Now they move to indifference curve 2. Tangency point. See? Okay. So I will draw this graph again. So this condition is called Pareto efficient. When it is not possible to make someone better off without making another worse off, is Pareto efficient. Okay. So on the tangency point of 2 indifference curve represent Pareto efficiency. Okay. Because when I want to move any one of the consumer, what I see is that one is getting worse off. Okay. So let me explain this separately, then it will more clear. So I hope Pareto improvement is clear. So let me draw once again Pareto improvement graph. So this is endowment. So this is indifference curve of consumer B, because it's drawn like this, and higher indifference curve will be in this side, okay? And this is indifference curve of consumer A, and high indifference curve of consumer A will be this side, okay? This is indifference curve of A, this is B. This is the axis of A, this is the axis of B, okay? And this W point represents endowment, and you know this is 10, here this is 5, okay? This is 5, and total is 15 here, 15 here, okay? So you know, and this is 10 here, and this is 5. So this one is the endowment for of good X with B and good Y with B, okay? You know endowment, right? Endowment of good X with A, endowment of good Y with A is 10, 5. So 10 unit of X and 5 unit of Y. So I get one endowment point, okay? Similarly, endowment of good X with consumer B, endowment of good Y with consumer B is 5, 10. So 5 is the endowment, I get one endowment point, and 10. The endowment point is the same. So I told you, if I move the indifference curve of consumer A, this is consumer A indifference curve, this point, this is consumer A indifference curve, right? This one. If I move it here, okay, there is no change in utility of consumer B, okay? So I am not affecting the satisfaction level of consumer A. So when it is possible to make someone better off without making another worse off, it is Pareto improvement. Okay, I am not making anyone worse off, but I am able to make someone better. So let's make this person better off at 0.3. This is 0.3, here I have 0.1, here I have 0.2, okay? So what is happening here? Consumer A moving to high indifference curve, so utility of A increases without impacting utility of B, okay? Okay? So you have Pareto improvement at 0.3, okay? Can I move more indifference curve of A? Yes, I can move more. But now what will happen? This indifference curve of B, okay? So this indifference curve of B is corresponding to endowment, the endowment that it possesses. So any bundle that he is able to get at this point, okay, is able to give him the level of satisfaction that he have with his original endowment, okay? He will have in his original endowment, okay? So if consumer A want to move any further, okay, suppose it want to move further, so it will be tangent to indifference curve of B. Suppose here there will be any, there are family of indifference curve of B. So here, so this region, no indifference curve or no level of satisfaction, because you will be pushed to maximize your satisfaction, okay? You are here, you need to go back. That means I am making individual B worse off, okay? I am making individual B worse off. So when you have tendency of two indifference curve, okay, it is not possible to make, okay, someone better without making other worse off. So if I want to make A better off, I need to make B worse off, okay? Then only I can move from this tendency to another tendency. So I discussed point number 3. So here also you have like this. In point number 2, you will have, suppose consumer B move, okay, this one. So this is indifference curve of B, right? So here at point number 2, I discussed point 2, if you remember, okay, what? Indifference curve of or utility of A remain unchanged, but utility of B increases. When I draw a curve like this is utility of B. Okay, let me draw again. Okay, then confusing otherwise. So this is when I draw like this, it is indifference curve of A. When I draw like this is indifference curve of B. Indifference curve of A. Okay. So here, this is 0.3. I draw indifference curve, so I am able to make A better off without making B worse off. So this is Pareto improvement. Okay. If I move any further, from here, it will make B worse off. Okay. So Pareto efficient means an allocation or distribution. Okay. If you improve, if there is already improvement taking place, so this point, if you have tangency like this, so this allocation or distribution, you can say distribution to goods. Okay. This allocation is Pareto efficient. It means that it is not possible to make, okay, someone better off without making another worse off. If we want to move from this allocation, okay, either A will be better off, B will be worse off, or if I want to move here, that I will discuss now. Okay, so this is the position of Pareto improvement. After that, what will happen? There will be a decrease in utility of A but increase in utility of B. Okay. So 0.3 in here. Now I am making for 0.2. So Pareto improvement is possible on this. Okay, I can improve the utility of both. Okay, both can move to higher indifference curve. This can also move. This can also move. Okay, they can keep moving. So now look at this thing. This is initial endowment. Okay, anything inside this, you can move to higher indifference curve both, and both utility can increase. So it is possible to make both better off. Okay. And any point here, say point number 3, utility, this is indifference curve of B. So utility of B will not change. I can increase the utility of A, right? Now look at point number 2, this point. Now utility of A remains the same along this curve as initial endowment, but I am able to improve the utility of B. So it is possible to make B better without making A worse off. Okay, so I am able to increase the utility of B without having any impact on utility of A. Okay, don't take this as given. Okay, I write this only to say that there is no impact on utility of initial, whatever utility that they have, they don't have any impact of that thing. Okay, so this is point 2. Again, if I want to improve utility of B any further, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. I can make B better, but I need to make A worse off. This direction represents higher utility. So this is the indifference curve of A. This is 1, this is 2. So if I want to make B better off, okay, so I will move from this ICB to higher IC, this curve. So indifference curve of B is getting further away, so it is getting more utility. I am able to make B better, but again, what is happening to the indifference curve of A? Utility decreases. So it is possible to make someone better by making another worse off is Pareto efficient. So this allocation is Pareto efficient. Okay, why it is Pareto efficient? Because it is not possible to make someone better off. I cannot make B better off without making A worse off. Point 2. Okay, look at point 2. If I want to make B better off, I need to make A worse off. Look at point 3. So when I am moving the indifference curve of A, I am making B worse off. What is Pareto efficient? Pareto efficient means an allocation is Pareto efficient when it is not possible to make someone better without making another worse off. Okay. So you can see at point number 2, 1, 3, in on this pinnace we can have Pareto efficient point. So let me write the definition of Pareto efficient. Okay. Pareto efficient or optimal. Sometimes they write optimal. And allocation is, I just P, Pareto efficient when it is not possible to make someone better off, when it is not possible to make someone better off without making another worse off. Another worse off. Okay, whatever name. Okay. So an allocation is Pareto efficient when it is not possible to make someone better without making another worse off. So look at this one. This is azure box. This is indifference curve of B because it is in this direction. This is indifference curve of A. This is indifference curve of B. Okay. This is axis of A. This is axis of B. In this direction, I will look at good X for consumer A. In this direction, I will look at for good Y for consumer A. This direction, this is horizontal. Okay, so for good X, this is vertical for good Y. Okay. So suppose we are here. Is it possible to increase the utility of B? Yes, I can increase because B utility will increase this direction. But what will happen if I increase the utility of B from this point? This point, suppose A, I want to move to B. Then when I increase the utility of B from A to B, what is happening? Utility of A also decreases. Okay. Here, using tangent. Okay. Now look at this one. When both are not tangent case. Okay. So both are not tangents. So this is the indifference curve of B. I can move A here, indifference curve, right? Point number 3, remember? So without having any impact on indifference curve or utility of consumer B, I am able to improve utility of consumer A, right? So this is Pareto improvement. Okay. Similarly here, this is indifference curve of A. I can move indifference curve of B and make Pareto improvement. Or in between both can move and we have Pareto improvement. But when we have tangency thing, if I want to make one better off, another is getting worse off if I want to move. So this is what you on the allocation, okay, where you have tangency of both indifference curve in this exchange economy, okay, is Pareto efficient. Why it is Pareto efficient? Because no more Pareto improvement is possible. Okay. So when you want to make someone better, another is getting worse off. But when you have ionized shape, when you have between two indifference curve, you have ionized shape, so Pareto improvement is possible. Okay. So like in between these two, okay, you can have indifference curve like this. So both can be better off here. But this position is good for A. This position is good for B because this direction represent higher indifference curve for consumer B. Okay. And this represent high indifference curve for consumer A. So let's do some example. Okay. So definition is clear, right? So suppose in it is given to you. So suppose you have two consumer. Consumer A has endowment of good, say 1 and 2 as 5,000 and 1,200. Okay, I can take any number. Okay, and B, consumer B has endowment of good 1 and 2, both have endowment of good and 1 and 2, 1,000 and say 2,800. Okay, I will ask you to draw Edgeworth box. So what is Edgeworth box? Edgeworth box is a tools that show two consumer preference and their endowment bundle. Okay, and the dimension of Edgeworth box is determined by total supply of X and Y. Okay, how I derive total supply of X and Y? By adding the endowment of good X, I will get total supply of good X, and good Y, I will get total supply of good Y. So endowment of good 1 with consumer A, write in notation, then it will be easy. Endowment of good 2 with consumer A equal 5,000, 1,200. Okay. Endowment of good 1 with consumer B, endowment of good 2 with consumer B. I am not using X, Y. Okay. Whatever I have given, just use the general format, then it will be easy. 1,000, 2,000. Now I have to need to take out total supply, then only I can draw Edgeworth box. Okay, dimension I will know. So total supply or endowment, total endowment. Okay, total supply or total endowment of goods 1 and 2. Okay, so total supply of goods 1. So endowment of good 1 with consumer A plus endowment of good 1 with consumer A. Total supply of goods 2. Endowment of good 2 with consumer A plus endowment of good 2 with consumer B. This will be okay. This will be endowment of good 1 with consumer A is 5,000. Endowment of good 1 with consumer B is 1,000. This is 6,000. Okay. So my X axis will be 6,000. Dimension will be 6,000. Okay. Endowment of good 2 with consumer A, endowment of good 2 with consumer A 1,200. Okay. Endowment of good 2 with consumer B 2,800. 4,000. So good 2 is in Y axis, so it will be 4,000. Okay. So let's draw the graph. So this will be 6,000. Okay. And this will be 4,000. So this will be like a rectangle. Okay. Rectangle. And this have 5,000. 5,000 here. This is axis for A. This is axis for B. Horizontal axis represent good 1. Vertical axis represent good 2. Okay. So 5,000. And this remaining 1,000, this total is 6,000. 1,000 will be this 1,000 direction this side. So here it is 1,000. Yeah, good direction is this side. It one direction is this side. Okay. And then you have 1,000 endowment for this is what 1,200 I think. Okay. 1,000. Okay, 1,000. Sorry. So 4,000 I have here. This total is 4,000. Okay, I have it there. So endowment of good 2 with consumer A is 1,200. So suppose this is 1,200 out of 4,000. Okay. So remaining will be on this will be 2,800. Okay. This will be this area will be 1000. Okay, this total will be 2800. Okay, this direction. So I know the point. Just join this point with this one. So I get endowment of consumer A. So endowment of consumer A of both goods, comma, this is comma. Okay, consumer A is 5000 of good 1 and 1200 good 1 and good 2 is 1200. Okay, so 5000 and 1200. This point I get. Endowment of consumer B is 1000 of good 1 and 2800 of good 2. So join this point. This I get endowment here. Okay. So this type of question they ask you to do. Okay. Now preference will be in this direction. So I ask you draw the Edgeworth box for the Phoning graph and show the preference. So this is the preference of consumer B and this is the preference of consumer A. Okay, and I draw curve here going through endowment. When I draw like this, it is for consumer. This is A, sorry, and this is B. This is for consumer B, this is for consumer A, and this is for consumer A going through endowment in difference curve of A. Okay, so on this area Pareto improvement is possible. Okay, so I give you suppose graph like this. Okay, I give you point like this, 0.3, 1, 2. So I ask you if consumer A move from their position to from the given position to position 3, what will happen? Okay, so this is the given position. I will not give this graph, I will say, or I will number it like in difference of 2A. So consumer A will move from the, suppose the position of consumer A is IC2. Okay, and it moved from this position to 0.3 position. Okay, and it become tangent to indifference curve of consumer B, this indifference curve of consumer B. Okay, then what will happen? So here what will happen? Utility of consumer A increases. Okay, and utility of consumer B will remain the same. Okay, why? Because this indifference curve of consumer B is going through the endowment bundle. Okay, so along this indifference curve, whatever bundle consumer B will have, it will give him or her the same level of satisfaction that he or she is getting at the original endowment. Okay, but utility of consumer A increases. Okay, this will be the answer. And I ask you to explain point number 2. Suppose for the given utility of consumer A, okay, what will happen if consumer B utility move from this position to this position? Okay, so in this position what will happen? Consumer B utility increases for the given utility of consumer A, so Pareto improvement is there. Why consumer A utility remains the same? Because along the indifference curve, okay, any combination of two goods give same level of satisfaction that the original endowment is given to the consumer A. Okay, and when I have names like this, so it is possible to make both better along the names, in the names. Okay, so you know how to draw Edgeworth box. Okay, and let me do this thing in separate part. So you need to take out total supply, then only you can draw this box. Okay, it can be rectangle, it can be square. Okay, it can have any shape. It can have shape like this also. Okay, so depending upon your endowment, it can have any shape. Okay, so you just need to know how to take a total supply, then you can draw the endowment box. So let me take few more examples. Okay, so one question can be how to draw Edgeworth box. Okay, suppose indifference curve of B is given, indifference curve of A is given. So just remember, when you have I in between two indifference curve, that means Pareto improvement is possible. Okay. So I give you this indifference curve. Okay. So I ask you to show the position where Pareto improvement is possible. So on point along this, here if your initial endowment is given, Pareto improvement is possible. Here also Pareto improvement is possible along this curve. Anywhere you can move this curve. Along this curve also, on the locus, if you move consumer B indifference curve, consumer A utility will not change, because along this curve any point represents the same utility level that original endowment is representing. Okay. So when you have curve like this, that means Pareto improvement is possible. It is possible to make at least 1% better off without making another worse off. Okay. Or you can say in this nets, okay, it is possible to make both better off. Okay. Now look at this thing. Okay. So I have draw this curve, this curve, this is not tangent, this curve. Okay. So if I am here, so this is indifference curve of A1. Okay, I read. So this is indifference curve of A2. This is indifference curve of A3. This is indifference curve of A4. Okay, and this is indifference curve of B, like this. 1, indifference curve of B2, indifference curve of B3, indifference curve of B4. So this is a high level of satisfaction. Now suppose we are here. So if I want to improve utility of A, B utility decrease from 4 to 3. So on this point is Pareto efficient point. Okay. On this point is Pareto efficient point. We are not talking about anything about distribution aspect. Okay, whether it is good or not. Okay, that is another kind of study. So what is Pareto efficient? When it is not possible to make someone better without making another worse off. So if I want to make A better off, I need to make B worse off. If I am here, suppose I am here, if I want to make B better off, I want it to move from 2 to 3 indifference curve, I need to reduce the utility of A from 3 to 2. Okay. And when this is origin of A, this is origin of B. Okay. This is your x axis and this is your y axis. Good will be like this direction, and this will be like in this direction. Okay, higher utility will be this side, higher utility will be from this side. Okay. So here you have many indifference curve of A, many indifference curve of B. Okay, wherever they are tangent, okay, no more improvement is possible. Okay. So when I combine point like this, I get concave curve. This is called concave curve. So each point on this concave curve, it is a tangency condition for both the curve. Okay. So there is an infinite many tangency of indifference curve of A and B. So concave curve is a connection of on the tangency point of indifference curve of A and B. Okay. So on point along this concave curve is Pareto efficient. So what is concave curve? Concave curve is a combination of on the points that are Pareto efficient. Okay, on the allocation that are Pareto efficient. Now any point outside this concave curve there is Pareto improvement possible. Okay, so along this concave curve, on points are Pareto efficient. Okay, if I move from this point to any point nearby, that means I'm making, if I'm moving in this direction, see direction is this side, so I'm making B better off and A worse off. Okay, you have indifference curve like this. Okay, you move from here to here, this indifference curve. So here I'm moving in this direction, so B is getting better off because I'm moving in this direction. This contact curve have many infinite many tangency like this on over it. Okay, so on points along this contact curve are Pareto efficient. Okay, any point outside this contact curve, Pareto improvement is possible. Okay, so this is a concept that you people need to remember. So what concept you people have to remember in this topic? Let me write down. First, define Edgeworth box, okay, and how to draw it given the initial endowment. Second, given initial endowment, so Pareto improvement. Okay, three cases will be there. Pareto improvement, keeping utility of A given, increase utility of B. Okay, increase utility of A without having any impact on utility of B, or increase utility of A and increase utility of B. Okay, so you need to draw the graph and show these three cases. You can make three graphs. Okay, like this one. Here you have initial endowment, so utility of A, this is indifference curve of A, so keeping utility of A same, I increase the utility of B. Okay, here, so because utility of B increases in this direction, so increases this one and this one. Suppose just draw, this is initial endowment. Okay, so indifference curve of B also passes through initial endowment, indifference curve of A also passes through initial endowment. So any point along this curve give the same level of satisfaction that initial endowment is giving to both A and B. Okay, so I need to increase the utility of A. I increase utility of A. So it is possible to make A better off without making B worse off. So this is Pareto improvement. Now take this one. Your curve like this one. I can make both better off inside the curve. This one. By moving away from initial endowment, it is possible to make both better off. Okay. So Edgeworth box, when you draw it, you need to take out total supply. Okay. And third thing, what is Pareto efficient? So it will graph. What is Pareto optimum or Pareto efficient in exchange economy? We are doing exchange economy. Okay. So it with graph. From here it will be 10, 15, 20 minutes more to show consumer equilibrium in exchange economy. Okay, but it will be too much for you people. Okay, so we just stick to the concept. Okay, development of the concept is important, and doing this it will develop it. So whatever people you people will read, it will be clear. Okay. So what is Pareto efficient? Show it with graph. Okay, so you have to make this graph and show it that this is Pareto efficient. So it is not possible to make, okay, consumer anyone better without making another worse off. So what is contract curve? Draw graph of it. Draw graph of it. Okay, so we have discussed Pareto efficient or Pareto optimality, and these are some of the concepts that we have done. Okay, we have done Pareto optimality today. I hope this concept is clear. If there is any doubt, you can confirm me. Okay. So thank you for watching, and due to some technical issue, we do not get recorded, so this video will come little bit. Okay. Thank you for watching.